For most of human history, no one said a word. Think about that. Really think about it. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans lived without a single word. They hunted without saying spear. They loved without saying you. They watched children grow, watched elders die, and never spoke any of it. What was that world like? A world before words. These humans weren't stupid. Their brains were as big as ours. They made tools, controlled fire, buried their dead. They did all of this in absolute silence. And then something changed. Somewhere. Sometime. Someone opened their mouth and made a sound that meant something. Not a grunt of pain. Not a cry of fear. A sound that stood for something else. A sound that meant water, or fire, or danger, or you. That moment, that single, invisible, impossible moment, changed everything. But what did it sound like? What was the first word ever spoken? The answer is nobody knows, and maybe nobody ever will. Bones fossilize, tools survive, fire leaves ash. But words? Words vanish the moment they're spoken. Language leaves no fossils, no bones, no trace. It's the greatest mystery in human history, and for centuries it was forbidden to even ask about it. In 1866, the Linguistic Society of Paris officially banned the topic. They said it was unsolvable. Pure speculation, not real science. But humans are curious. We can't help it. And slowly, carefully, scientists started asking the question again. And what they found was astonishing. The story of language isn't just hidden in sounds, it's hidden in bones, in genes, in babies. But before we dig into the evidence, let's talk about the theories. For centuries, thinkers have tried to guess how language began, and some of their guesses were wonderful. The bow-wow theory. The idea is simple. The first words were imitations of natural sounds. A dog goes woof, a bee goes buzz, water goes splash. Maybe the first word was just someone copying what they heard. It's a charming idea, but it has a problem. Most things in the world don't make a sound you can copy. How do you imitate a rock, a thought, yesterday? So maybe language didn't start with sounds at all. The gesture theory says, we spoke with our hands before we spoke with our mouths. Watch chimpanzees. They use dozens of hand signals, pointing, beckoning, warning. And here's something wild. Babies who learn sign language start communicating months before they can speak. The hands are faster than the voice. Maybe they were first too, but eventually the voice took over. And to understand why, we need to look inside the human throat. There's a bone in your neck. It's called the hyoid, and it changed everything. The hyoid bone doesn't connect to any other bone, it floats, held in place by muscles alone. It's the anchor point for your tongue, your voice box, everything that makes speech possible. No other animal has a hyoid positioned quite like ours. Not even Neanderthals had it exactly the same. Here's the amazing part. Human babies are born with a high larynx like a chimp. Then around 3 months old, it starts to descend. By age 1, the larynx drops. The tongue gets more room to move, and the first words begin. This descent is dangerous. It means humans can choke on food, something other primates almost never do. We traded safety for speech. That's how important language was to our survival. And then there's the gene, the speech gene, FOXP2, a single gene that, when broken, destroys a person's ability to speak. In the 1990s, a British family was discovered. 3 generations. Half of them couldn't speak properly. Scientists traced the problem to FOXP2, one tiny mutation, and words fell apart. But here's the twist. Neanderthals had the same version of FOXP2 that we do. Neanderthals, our cousins, our rivals. We've always thought of them as lesser, but they had FOXP2. They had a hyoid bone almost identical to ours. They made sophisticated tools, buried their dead with flowers, created cave art. It's becoming harder and harder to say they couldn't speak. Some scientists believe Neanderthals had language, simpler than ours perhaps, but language. When our ancestors met Neanderthals, they may have exchanged more than just glances, but there's a gene we have that Neanderthals didn't. a newer one, Nova 1. In 2025, scientists took the Neanderthal version of Nova 1 and put it into mice. The mice with the Neanderthal gene made different sounds, simpler sounds. It's possible Neanderthals had speech, but not like ours, something more limited. And this might be why we survived and they didn't. Not strength, not intelligence, words. With richer language, we shared hunting plans, passed down knowledge, built larger tribes. Language wasn't just communication, it was a weapon, and we wielded it. So let's return to the question. The big one, what did it sound like?
We can't know for sure, but we have clues. Clues hidden in the world's oldest languages. In southern Africa, the Khoisan people speak languages filled with clicks, not just one or two clicks, dozens of them, each one a different meaning. Genetic studies show the Khoisan split from the rest of humanity over 100,000 years ago. Their click languages may be the closest thing we have to the sound of the first human tongue. But there's another clue, and it comes from the first word most of us ever speak: mama, papa, dada. These words are almost identical in languages all across the world. In Chinese, mama. In Swahili, mama. In English, mama. In Quechua, mama. This isn't a coincidence. It's physics. The M sound is the simplest thing a human mouth can do. Close lips, hum, open. Babies discover this sound first, and mothers, hearing it, assumed they were being called. The word for mother may be the oldest word still spoken today. And the word for mother gives us another clue about how the first language sounded. Linguists have tried to reconstruct the first language. They call it proto-world, or proto-human. They look for words that appear in languages that couldn't have borrowed from each other. They found about 30 words that might trace back to the very beginning. Words for body parts, numbers, basic actions, the skeleton of a language. But here's what's strange. We can't reconstruct any further back than about 15,000 years. Language changes too fast. After 10,000 years, nothing of the original remains. The first language may have sounded nothing like anything we hear today. But the DNA tells us one thing for certain. Language was there, at least 135,000 years ago. For most of our existence, human culture barely changed. Same tools, same art, same everything. Then about 50,000 years ago, everything exploded. Scientists call it the Great Leap Forward, or behavioral modernity. Suddenly humans were painting elaborate cave art, carving figurines, making music. They were burying their dead with beads and ochre, trading shells across continents. Something had changed, something fundamental, and many scientists believe that something was language. With full language, we could do something no other creature can do. Share ideas across time. Tell a story about a hunt that happened years ago. Pass on knowledge from a dead grandparent. Plan for a season that hasn't arrived yet. Imagine something that doesn't exist. Language gave us the past, and the future, and everything that never was but could be. And once language arrived, it never stopped changing. Today, there are about 7,000 languages spoken on Earth. Some have only a handful of speakers left. Some are spoken by billions. All came from the same seed. Every 3 months, the last speaker of a language dies, and a whole world of thought disappears. Languages aren't just words, they're ways of seeing. The Piraha people of the Amazon have no words for numbers. The Gugu Yimithir people of Australia don't use left and right. They use north, south, east, west, even indoors. Every language is a different operating system for the human brain, and we're losing them. The first language split and branched and flowered into thousands of worlds, and we are the inheritors of that explosion. So what did the first language sound like? It was probably simple. A few dozen words, clicks and hums and gestures. It was probably sung as much as spoken, tone and rhythm carrying meaning before words could. And it was probably more beautiful than we can imagine, because it was the first time. For 100,000 years humans had thoughts they couldn't share, feelings with no name, and then someone broke the seal, and nothing was ever the same. Every word you speak today is a descendant of that moment. You are speaking the same language, literally, deep in your DNA, that the first humans spoke. Language is the one invention that invented everything else. The next time you say something, anything, remember what you're doing.
You're reaching across 135,000 years, touching someone else's mind, with nothing but shaped air, the secret history of being human, told in sticks and words,